call this the toughest road trip in footy, Drew. Are you ready?
Yeah, we are ready. We had some success in Perth last year, but you can't sort of use that wholly to be the driving and the motivating force. They've changed a bit. We've changed a bit as well. So you've got to win this game and not just rely on history to help you get over the line.
What parts of that game though can you take into tomorrow night?
Our pressure was good last year when we played Fremantle over in Perth. Their pressure is really good as well. So I think we were around the mark in matching them in that regard. They've got a lot of numbers that constantly tackle. Ballantyne's one of the best at it, just charging in. Main as well. I think he's one of their best defensive players, given as well that he's a forward. So we expect that pressure to be really hot again, and we've got to try and match it in a hostile environment.
What sort of self-belief can you take from one of those wins over in Perth, though, and I guess set up the season, if possible?
Yeah, well, we've had and we're obviously aware of this when the draw comes out. We're aware of having a really solid start to the year with the sides we've played, and we're going to play over the next bit, but having a tough run in the beginning, I think the way the season's gone so far, every week's tough now, and anyone can win. As if you're a little bit off, if you're not concentrating hard enough against any opponent, you'll lose. So last year, winning twice in Perth, given it's something we haven't done in a lot of years, gives us really good belief going into this game. Instead of hoping and crossing your fingers and toes that everything goes your way, you might win, you go into this game believing that no, we can actually perform and we can actually match these sides.
How much confidence did you get out of last week, given you're up against this team that's sort of ranked similarly, and they came at you a few times, but you're able to resist and hold them off?
Yeah, we did. I guess we won ugly last week. It wasn't our best performance, but we managed to do enough to win, and we need a couple of those to go your way throughout the season.
Brad spoke about your role after the game and your ability to swing back when called upon. How often do you think we're going to see that again this year?
You'll see it at times. I think when it's required, often I'll go behind the footy if it's late in a quarter or towards the end of a game if we're up by 2 or 3 goals, just to protect the game and win a game. I'll go back when we don't need to score anymore, I guess. But in times late in games and late in quarters where we don't want the opposition to score, that's when I'll go back. So I still like to play up the front end. I still like to kick goals, and I see that as my number one role in the side. But everybody has to be adaptable, and that's my part that I have to play at times.
Can you pull that rein yourself, or is it always direction from above? Or
yeah, your teammates know as when it's time for me to go behind the footy, but usually I'll look up to the box, and if I see the coach waving his arms around, I know what he means.
McFarlane back in for Fremantle. How are you seeing a potential match-up with yourself there?
Yeah, we'll probably line up alongside each other. Luke McFarlane's been a great player for a lot of years, and he's I certainly, when people ask, I rate him as one of the toughest that I've had to play on over my career, and I think he's missed about a month of footy as well. Michael Johnson was outstanding last week, taking a lot of marks. They've got a lot of really good defenders capable of holding us down, so it's not a case of if Luke beats me, Fremantle win. I think we've got enough assets up forward to share the load, which we did and we've done over the last fortnight especially.
One of the assets he's missing, Ben Brown, and he's provided a real structural point of difference for you. Have you found his form leading into this game, and without him, how do you think you're going to manage that sort of situation?
Yeah, well, I guess the only history we've got this year without Ben Brown was Adelaide round 1, and we got flogged, so I'm not sure he makes up that much of a difference in that regard, but structurally he's very important to us. He's just an honest worker. He's an easy teammate to play with because he'll do whatever he can to help the side. So hoping that Ben only misses 1 week, but we get Mason Wood back, who's a running player who basically missed the Essendon game just to have a bit of a rest. But he comes back in this week fresh, and we'll need him to run across Subiaco Oval all night.
What sort of a game are Brad and the boys sort of expecting tomorrow night? I think Fremantle are only averaging conceding 65 points a game. They're pretty miserly back there. Are you expecting a bit of a scrap?
Yeah, their pressure is really good around the footy. But they move the footy really quick now. I think people kind of forget that and always look at and focus on Fremantle's defensive work and look at the points against and then sort of get an idea of how they play. But they do move the footy well, and Pavlich up front. You got Walters and you got Pearce. You got Hill moving the footy up the ground. You got guys with speed. So that's how we need to make sure we can keep them to around that sort of same points margin as well, because they've got the ability to kick big scores and not just defend sides and keep scores, opposition sides to low scores themselves.
And you spoke a little bit earlier about a hostile reception. What's it like playing over at Subiaco these days? Has it changed? We heard like 10 years ago it can be pretty hostile there.
Yeah, it is hostile with 35,000 fans cheering against you and wishing that you lose and fail. So it's a great environment to play in. And sometimes you can, if you go into a game like that dreading and fearing what you might come across, then it's you're lost already and you're beaten already. But it's an enjoyable environment to play in, because they're the best wins you have, are the ones when everyone else is against you, and you can walk off the ground winners. And these are the sort of games that if you can win, really make a side and make a season.
Crucial against Freo, those starts, because they've been renowned for these fast starts, slow finishes, really the pressure from the beginning.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, I think our starts have been a bit average this year. So if Fremantle get off to one like they did last week against the Bulldogs, then you don't want to be playing catch-up footy, especially at Subiaco. That hasn't been looked at too closely, our slow starts and their fast starts, but we're aware of the situation, and you just want to keep yourselves within arm's reach. Last year when we played over there, we were down for most of the game until the third quarter. I think we eventually got in front, but we're always within 3 goals throughout the whole game. We didn't let it stretch out any further than that. So that's I guess a margin that we'll look to use throughout the night.